Today's chief guest of this inaugural session, Sri Rajendra Kumar P. Chairman, GST and Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI, our CCM, Sri Babu Abraham Kallivelil, our RCM and immediate was Chairman of SIRC of ICAI, Sri Joman K. George. Our Chairman, Sri Roy Varghese, other MC members, CA Ranjit Warrior, Vice Chairman, and other senior members, friends. Today, we are starting the refresher course on GST, organized by GST and Indirect Taxes Committee of ICAI, hosted by Ernakulam branch of SIRC of ICAI. To welcome the chief guest and all the dignitaries, and also all the participants, I request CA Roy Varghese, Chairman of our Ernakulam branch, to deliver the address.
Good afternoon to you all. Very respected Chairman of GST and Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI, and Council Member C.A. Rajendra Kumar sir, the voice of Kerala and other states in the Council of ICAI, our dear leader, our Council Member, very respected C.A. Babu Abraham Kallivelil sir, the immediate past Chairman, SIRC Chairman and Regional Council Member of SIRC, C.A. Joman K. George sir, respected faculty for today, CA Madam Viral Khantar from Chennai, my colleagues in FC of Ernakulam branch of ICAI, and seniors, colleagues and friends in profession. Today it is the first day of the 5-day GST refresher course organized by GST and Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI and hosted by Ernakulam branch of ICAI. The GST topics for the refresher course have been well chosen and presented to enable the participants to refresh and update their knowledge. Efforts are also being taken to invite learned and experienced resource persons who are members of our profession to lead the 5-day webinar. We are sure the refresher course will be very useful and enriching to each and every one of you participating. We, the Managing Committee members of Ernakulam branch, would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the Chairman and Council Member C. Rajendra Kumar sir and the GST and Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI for entrusting Ernakulam branch to host the GST refresher course. Chairman of GST and Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI CCMC Rajendra Kumar sir is always there to support us whenever we need it. He is easily accessible and very responsive always. It's our pleasure that we could host the first refresher course of the branch for the year under his committee. Sir, we are highly obliged to you for your presence here today to inaugurate this GST refresher course. On behalf of Ernakulam branch of ICAI, with a heart full of thanks, I extend a hearty welcome to you, Sir Council Members A. Rajendra Kumar sir, to this inaugural function. It was our leader, Sir Council Member C.A. Babu Abraham Kallivelil sir, who was instrumental in getting this GST refresh course from the committee from the branch. In the last physical meeting of the Council of ICA held at Delhi, CCMC Babu Abraham sir directly interacted with the chairman, C.A. Rajendra Kumar sir, and it set the way for this refresher course. CCM Babu sir is there for all the activities of the branch, supporting, guiding, and helping us in every way possible. On our invitation, Sri Babu sir is present here today to deliver the keynote address. On behalf of ICAI Ernakulam branch and all the participants, I welcome Sir Council Member C.A. Babu Abraham Kallivelil sir to this inaugural function. The immediate past chairman of SIRC and the member of regional council, C.A. Joman K. George is a person whom we can access at any time for any help. A very down-to-earth personality and a very good teacher, orator, and a motivator. The regional council meeting held during the 2019-20 at Ernakulam was a hallmark of organizational ability, and leadership. In spite of busy schedules, Joman K. Jas sir are always there with us in all the activities of the branch, guiding, advising, and helping us. And we wish to have his voice heard not only in SIRC but in the Council of ICA also in the near future. On our request, the German Sir is here to address us. On behalf of ICA Ernakulam branch and all the participants, I welcome Regional Council member Sir German George Sir to this program. We have with us now the faculty for today, Sir Madam Viral Khantar from Chennai. Madam C. Viral Khandar is a known and sought after faculty for GST, and we are confident that her interaction will add value to our knowledge. On behalf of Ernakulam branch of ICAI, I welcome CA Madam Viral Khandar to this program. All the fellow MC members of Ernakulam branch are here to attend this course. I welcome each and every one of my colleagues in Managing Committee, immediate Vice Chairman C.S. Srinivasan, C.A. Ranjit Vayadi, Vice Chairman, C.A. K.V. Jose, Secretary, C.A. Deepa Varghese, Treasurer, C.A. Alan Joseph, Sikasa Chairman, and member C.A. Salim to this program. And finally, it is all of you here who registered and attending the refresher course and making this refresher course meaningful. On behalf of Ernakulam branch of ICA, I extend a hearty welcome to each and every one of you present here for the GST refresher course. We wish and hope that the GST refresh course will be very useful to each one of you. Kindly log in every day well in time and attend the session in full and stay safe and healthy. Once again, wishing you all a wonderful learning time. Thank you so much for the patient listening. Thank you very much. Over to Joe, please.
Thank you, Chairman C. Roy Varghese. Now let us hear from our own Regional Council member and immediate past chairman of SIRC of ICI, CA Jomon K. George.
Thank you, Jose. Very dynamic chairman of the Ernakulam branch, C. Roy Varghese. Around CCM, very dear respected Babu sir, the chief guest and the chief architect, if I can say, of this 5-day refresher course, granting it to our Ernakulam branch, a very senior colleague and a very respected, very beloved RK sir. Nobody knows him, his full name is P. Rajadev. For everyone, he is so dear, he is RK sir. And last year, I had the distinct privilege of being guided by him as an EC member. He was ex officio part of the SIRC in the EC. All the meetings, he attended all the meetings without fail. And he insisted that he should be there. And when it come to matters of governance and guidance, he was absolutely clear. Very, very update on the institute's latest decisions. Of course, part of the council he knows, but even coming to general administrative aspects. So it was a great learning experience working with him, and professionally we know each other. They become a very close family friendship. I've been to his house at dinner so many times. So I have not gone to his new house. I could not for whatever reason. So once COVID is over, I would really love to come and join. And the very learned young faculty of this evening, C.A. Viral Khandar, and the other managing committee members of the Ernakulam branch, respected senior members, and dear colleagues. Chairman, we have as of now 251 participants. More are joining in. Today being the first day, probably the pleasantries are over and they would join once we get topical. Extremely happy that all of us are able to use technology and work probably more effective than what we were doing earlier. IT companies studies have shown that TCS and all that has found that 15% productivity has been enhanced during the lockdown period through virtual meetings. So this is a new normal. We appreciate to say that. Extremely happy. Babu sir was saying that Central Council committee meetings are much more effective. And we have seen, if you take the COVID situation from March to May, the institute has come out with 6 COVID-related pronouncements, starting with the accounting and auditing advisory. So our leaders are not wasting any time sitting in different parts of the country. They are working our time to guide the members in this unprecedented situation. So very important that we show restraint, but we'll be resilient. And most important is to have a fresh resolve to go forward, continue to learn and update. So COVID times are good learning times. New COVID lessons we learn, and GST is right time 5-day refresher course organized by the GST and IDT committee, headed by Rajendra Kumar sir. GST has just completed it's had its third birthday 2 weeks back, or 3 weeks back. First July 2017 it came, and it coincides with the institute's CA day also. So we are 3 years into that. Many of us have developed a lot of expertise on this. It's a wonderful area for specialization. It's subsuming about 10 indirect taxes, said to be the most revolutionary tax reform in independent India. It has made things substantially easy for the SSEs and gave a big opportunity for finance professionals like chartered accountants. We have finished. We have done registrations. We understood the law. The handbook which the committee brought out is reference even for department officials. The committee also went abroad to help UAE, a young country like UAE for whom taxes were so alien and new, to develop guidance on the implementation of UAE VAT. So my sincere compliments to the indirect GST and IDTC committee. RK sir, great going. Congrats from all of us, and please continue the good work. All of us stand benefited. So that is how the law has. And today, 5 days, we are starting with the classification today, moving on to place of supply, and not the very advanced assessment related aspects. Input tax credit is there. I hope some of the speakers will cover refunds too. Refund, we are having some issues in getting refunds, particularly in the pending refunds. There's some kind of a delay. So, as RK sir rightly said, a lot of people are getting into profession and practice. Some of our friends are coming back from abroad. Industry friends are saying that the prospects may not be very good in the short run. Some of them are wanting to get back to practice. And maybe the young members, they need to be empowered on this because it's a huge opportunity. And GST has also become today one of the best indicators of the country's economic activity. So it went up to 1 lakh crores per month, 1 trillion rupees per month, and now little down because of the lesser economic activity. So it become a wonderful index. Plus, it has formalized the economy. The more the formal the economy, it's good for professionals, well-meaning professionals, the formal economy. We are associated with the formal economy. Still, there are some players who are reluctant to come into the mainstream. Eventually, they have to come because the supply chain is so well established that you need to have head and tail of things. Otherwise, in the middle, you would be directionless and you can be taken to task also. So once again, my very sincere compliments to the GST and IDT committee and also to the branch for making this happen. Wonderful program. Once again, welcome RK, and particularly seeing a lot of members from outside the region and outside Kerala. A special welcome I cannot say to now because you cannot travel. A special welcome from God's own country, that's Kerala. So once COVID is over, you can come down. We have wonderful places in Kerala. So stay tuned. Let us empower ourselves. All the very best, and special compliments to my new friend Viral Kandar also. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our RCM and immediate past chairman of SIRC of ICICI, Joman K. George. Now may I request our CCMC, Babu Abraham Kallivailal, to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Chief guest of the day and Honorable Chairman of the GST and Indirect Tax Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and my distinguished colleague in the Apex Council of the Institute. More than that, my dear friend RK sir. I think we have been together in the regional council. I've been in the regional council when he became my ex-officio member in the activity committee as a central council member. Now both of us are fortunate to be together in the central council to serve the institute. And I would say that a relentless worker of the institute, not only in the Indirect Tax Committee, I've been seeing him sitting days together throughout in completing the draft orders of the disciplinary committee during last year. Therefore, I have great regard and respect, and I should say RK sir is a great value addition to the council, and I salute his commitment for the cause profession. My very eminent colleague in the regional council and immediate past chairman of the region, I'm sure, RK sir, I would be, when I live, I hope my distinguished colleague Jomon will give you company in the next term of the council. And very respected chairman of the branch, CA Roy Vargas, Secretary Jose, other office bearers, and the speaker of the day, Chartered Accountant Viral Kandar, and very distinguished participants who have joined for this webinar across region. I think ever since GST was implemented in India in July 2017, the revenue has been slowly but steadily increasing, even after rate rationalization of large number of goods. I think we started with 17-18 financial year with just 5.4 crores revenue. It has increased to 8.77 crores during 18-19 and 19-20. Now it is touched 9,44,407 crores. That's a huge increase, and I'm sure even despite the COVID situation, I think government is expecting to at least retain the revenue of last year. I think the numbers will tell the professional opportunities. As on 31st of March 2020, there are 1 crore 23 lakh 10,079 GST registrants. See the huge number of opportunity. I think most of this registrants will be depending upon the support of the chartered accountants for filing of the return, reconciliation of the returns, and completing the assessment. Therefore, this is a huge opportunity. Like other GST, whether it is central excise or customs, the GST is also, I think, managed with circulars and notifications and press releases. Therefore, that is one challenge one has to keep up to date. The recent GST Council on 12th of June 2020 has decided to provide relief to small taxpayers with an aggregate turnover of less than 5 crores by reducing the interest rate for late submission of the returns for February, March, and April from 18% to 9% and waiver of late fee and interest if the returns in form number GSTR 3B for months of May, June, and July are furnished by September 2020. It is undoubtedly it is a very welcome decision. There are, I think, certain other amendments also has been relief has been brought in by the GST Council, which I am sure the chairman will touch upon. Therefore, every challenge, every adversity contains within its seeds of opportunity. We should accept the challenge and convert it as great professional opportunity to serve the people and serve the nation. IDTC committee, I should congratulate my good friend RK sir for relentlessly working, even in the adverse situation of COVID, and how we have been putting in our best effort to continuously sharpen our knowledge. It has organized numerous webcasts on GST, starting from basic topics like levy, input tax credit, to advanced level topics like appeals, assessments, etc. And naturally, it has received a huge response across the country. And GST certificate course, online certificate course, has a new dimension which has also been highly popular and receiving huge response. It's a great matter of pride that GST and Indirect Tax Committee has published 11 handbooks covering various procedural aspects of GST like registration, e-way bill, casual taxable person, invoicing, job work, refund, etc. And my heartiest congratulations and compliments to RKSR for making these publications are very simple. Even for a non-GST tax practitioner can understand because of its lucid language and the style of presentation. Therefore, sir, you have been doing a great service. Continue this good work in even the years to come. I wish this certificate course all the very best, and thank you once again to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Babu sir, for that inspirational keynote address. Thank you very much. Now it's time to inaugurate this refresher course. May I request CA Rajendra Kumar, Chairman, GST and Indirect Taxes Committee of ICAI, to inaugurate it officially and deliver his inaugural address.
Very esteemed Chairman of the Ernakulam branch, Roy Varghese sir, my colleague in the council, my colleague who was with me in the regional council, my very good friend and a subject expert, I must say so. Now, why I want to tell this word subject expert is because many of us think, see, this is an all India program and many of them are joining from outside the southern region also. In fact, many members think that central council members are basically duffers. I use that word. Allow me to use it. Because the kind of activism that goes on outside, they think that central council members are here only to do the leadership activity. They have got no other work and this is the only work, and they are all duffers basically. Okay, they also become chartered accountants. But let me tell you friends, this council is different. You have got 6 rank holders of All India CA final examinations in this council. 6. Subject experts like Babu Abraham, accounting standards and auditing standards and in income tax. He's a regular columnist in the newspaper, Malayalam Manoram, if I may say so, and many other journals also. In his capacity, individual capacity, he has been on the boards of corporates and banks. Individual capacity, nothing to do with the council. So an intellectual like Babu Abraham is there in the council, and of course Kerala is an intellectual state in India. If you ask me, if there is an international state in India, it is Kerala. I can put it like that. Babu, in any committee, if you take, his views are forthright. He is always for the members who are in practice majority. SMEs, SMPs always beat his heart. Let me tell you, his heart beats for them. In fact, I have been a beneficiary of being with Babu for 2 terms in the regional council. Enjoyed his hospitality, and because when Babu is around, there is no dearth of hospitality. And when Jomon K. George is there, it is icing on the cake. Let me tell you. With Jomon, I have an excellent rapport for again almost 2 decades now. We have traveled together on numerous occasions, presenting papers in the state of Tamil Nadu. Another intellectual, I must say. Another intellectual who has the joy of living life. Let me tell you. And in the regional council as the chairman of SIRC in the last year, I was there in the executive committee, and we had a wonderful time. Let me tell you. See, I always believe that a person from the central council should be a catalyst in the growth and development of the region as well as the person. And in letter and spirit, at least I have tried to act on that. Jomon's commitment, Jomon's dedication to the profession is well known, and very rightly, Babu sir, you told that after your tenure, an eminent personality, an intellectual like Jomon K. George should get elected. But I am a sitting member. I have absolutely no problem in telling that. Let me tell you, absolutely no problem in telling that Jomon, a person like Jomon K. George should also occupy a seat in the Apex Council. And intellectual contribution should be visible, and it will be visible. The branch Ernakulam, very close to my heart. Had this been a physical meeting, I would have been present there today, sitting with all of you. It is one state which I yearn to go again and again. Even the smallest of the opportunity, I always love to come to the God's own country, Kerala. And with intellectuals like you, with 100% literacy rate in the state is one of the largest foreign earners in the country, one of the largest in terms of turnover, and one of the largest in terms of beneficiaries of in implementing GST in this country. In fact, many good things have been told about the committee by Babu Abraham sir. In fact, I would only request all of you to please go and download those publications. Going forward, we are further coming out with 10 publications, and our flagship the background material on GST is in the final stages of revision, and by this month end, the latest background material, the updated version, will be on the web of our committee. Friends, out of these 10 new publications, 9 are again on various different topics. All, as Babu sir said, small booklets, not more than 80 to 100 pages. In fact, our smallest book is 45 pages. And very practically written in simple language. Please go and download it, the soft copy if you want, and hard copies are also now available for sale. In fact, I'm happy to inform you that in the month of June and also in the month of May, the Indirect Taxes Committee's contribution in terms of offers to the institute was the largest in terms of webinars, conferences, sale of publications, and so on. In fact, ICAI's committee, GST and Indirect Taxes Committee, which is fully supported by all in the Central Council, including the likes of Babu Abraham, who actually are deeply involved in the committee, which is engaged in members who are in other areas in public affairs. In fact, Babu Abraham's touch of hospitality was visible last year when one of the judges of the Madras High Court, Dr. Vineet Kothariji, mentioned to me that such a wonderful program was organized by the Central Council, Rajendra Kumar, and I was there. Your council colleague Babu Abraham organized it so wonderfully well. In fact, coming from a High Court justice is really a credit to a person like Babu, and I'm glad to inaugurate this program. I wish the first speaker all the best, and all the other speakers also have been chosen wonderfully well. And the topics, the chairman's the freedom which the chairman gave to the committee, as well as his contribution, is immense. When we suggested that, sir, these topics need not be there, instead you put this topic, he was very appreciative of that and immediately changed it. It's not because Central Council member has said that, it is because of the subject proper. And with the kind of people who are coming in today, the audience that we see, it is certainly excellent, and I'm confident that this program will be a huge success and good knowledge share will happen. Congratulations to you, Chairman sir, and also best wishes to the first faculty of the day, and congratulations to all the participants for joining this course. Sincere thanks to Babu sir for his coordination, for his support at all times, and Jomonkar George, I await to sit with you in the next council also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the nice words, which I am doubtful whether I deserve it fully.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inaugurating this program. On behalf of Ernakulam branch and all the managing committee members, I extend a sincere gratitude to you, not only for inaugurating, for giving us a chance to host this program, refresher course on GST. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, CCM, our own CCM Babu sir, for your keynote address and joining us on this inaugural session. And thank you, Joman sir, for your address, all the participants. Thank you very much, all the MC members, for joining on this inaugural session. Now our speaker is already there. Thank you very much, J. Viral Kandar. Now we are going to the session straight away. Today we have classification concepts. I thank all the participants. I think it's almost 400, more than 400 registrations are there. Thank you very much for joining us on this refresher course on GST. Let us, we can start with the first session, classification concepts in GST. May I request our Vice Chairman, C. Ranjit Warrier to introduce our speaker for this afternoon, CA Viral Kandar. Over to you, Ranjit.
Very good evening to all of you. Great pleasure for me to introduce before you the first speaker, CA Viral Kandar. CA Viral Kandar is a graduate in commerce and is a fellow member of ICI. Her first stint as a professional was as a regional credit manager at ICICI Bank for 3+ years. Although realizing that opportunities in banking sector were immense, her affinity to be associated with law, taxes, accounting, and consulting made her renounce the job and join Sanjeev Shah and Associates as a manager in direct taxes. This provided her a platform to be tasked with the core of GST analysis. Having addressed various private clients on the basis of GST in the past and also hand-holding them in implementing GST in their organization, she now addresses certain core areas of indirect taxes at the institute with prospect of enhancing her own skills and also gain relevant and holistic knowledge of the subject. She has also co-authored a handbook on GST registration publication published by the ICI. She is now a partner at Sanjeev Shah and Associates since May 2020. With these little words, may I invite and introduce before you CA Viral Kandar.
Thank you so much, Ranjit sir. To the Central Council members, the office bearers of ICI Ernakulam, and all other dignitaries, my warm greetings to all of you. And it is my pleasure to present the first topic of this GST refresher course, which has been very meticulously planned on choosing only the important topics for further deliberation. I hope all the participants will gain immense knowledge from this, and once normalcy returns, you will be able to put this knowledge to good use. So I would straight away move into my topic of classification under classification concepts in GST. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, it is visible, madam. It's visible.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So why is classification required in GST? What do you mean by classification? These are the topics which I will be covering over here. Certain basic aspects on how do you go about doing an exercise of classification in GST. As such, there is no statutory definition for the term classification in the GST law. But as a very general colloquial meaning of classification would be to group certain commodities or certain goods or services based on a pre-established criteria. So you find out what is a common feature among those goods, and those goods have been grouped into different headings and subheadings, and a code is being attached to each of these groups, which is known as the Harmonized System of Nomenclature, that is the HSN code, which we all always refer to in the GST law. So this code is attached to the different types of goods available in the whole country or the whole world, and this code will help us to determine what would be the tax rate applicable to that particular commodity. As we know, there have been multiple tax rates notified in the GST law. Initially, when GST was to be launched, it was told that it's going to be a one nation, one tax. But much contrary to that, when it was actually launched, we saw that there are more than 6 rates applicable for the different supplies of goods as well as services. So this, because of the multiple tax rates applicable to our country, classification assumes a lot of importance, because a slight change in the code applicable for those products will lead to a different tax rate applicable, and in case a wrong rate has been used by the taxpayer, this wrong rate would always have the implication of additional payment of interest and penalty, and a lot of litigation would arise in this aspect. So in fact, when the GST was launched, each and every taxpayer should have undertaken this exercise of finding out whether the transactions which they have been dealing with under the erstwhile indirect tax regime is still continued to be treated in the same way or not in the GST regime also. So like we know, the GST law has always bifurcated between goods as well as services. This distinction has been maintained throughout the GST law. This is actually a first step in classification to find out whether a transaction, or rather whether a supply, which is the taxable event in GST, whether such supply amounts to a supply of goods or a supply of services. That is the first step of classification which we need to undertake. To give you a brief, a small warm up into what the different tax rates could imply, I have taken certain tax rates from the GST tariff as well as from the first schedule to Customs Tariff Act. You can see before you an example of heading 2202, which discusses on waters, including mineral water and aerated waters, containing added sugar or other sweetening matter or flavor. And under that heading of 2202, you have different goods being classified, which is aerated waters, lemonade, and a residual category of others. Under that residual category, it is further being bifurcated into non-alcoholic beers, soya milk drinks, fruit pulp or fruit juice based drinks, and others. On the right side of the screen, you will be able to see the different tax rates which have been notified for the different products. Like in the case of aerated waters, with the HSN code of 22021010, you are having a tax rate of 28%. Again, it is at 28%. When you come to soya milk drinks or fruit pulp or fruit juice based drinks, it is at 12%. And a residual category of others is having a tax rate of 18%. So you can see within this particular heading of 2202 itself, there are 3 different tax rates which have been prescribed. Moreover, this tax rate of 28% is also having the incidence of cess applicable for aerated drinks, which is at 12%. So that makes aerated waters, lemonades at 40% tax rate. Now assume you have before you a drink which is made up of fruit juice or a fruit essence based drink. That drink is also having a certain amount of carbonation added to that drink to maybe increase the shelf life of the product or as a marketing strategy also. So if this drink or this beverage is before you, where would you classify this product? And what would be the tax rate that you would suggest to your client? Whether it will be classified as aerated waters because it is having carbonation aeration and also predominantly it is made out of water. Or if it was a lemon based drink, will you classify it as a lemonade? Or if it was a fruit juice based drink, will you classify it as a fruit pulp or a fruit juice based drink? Or whether you will classify it under the residual category. You can see the huge implication in terms of the tax rate which is there for your client. So when you are put in a position to determine what would be the tax rate applicable for that kind of a client, you have to ensure that you are aware of the process of how do you go about doing classification. This exercise of classification requires immense study into the commodity which is before you, the product before you. That has to be correctly, an in-depth study is required based on what are the ingredients being used. That will also play a very important role. Another example could be, say, under 3306, which talks of preparations for oral or dental hygiene, including denture fixtures, pastes, and powders, yarn used to clean between the teeth in individual retail packages. Under that, you have in powder form of dentrifices is taxable at 12%, and in a paste form, it is at 18%. Without getting information on what is the nature of the product of our client, if we are going to suggest the tax rate, maybe on the phone you've been asked as to what should be the tax rate, and most commonly we know it as toothpaste only, even if it is in a powder form. In that kind of a scenario, without knowing what is the constitution of the product, in what way it is actually existing, if we do not know, we will be guiding our clients on the wrong way as to what will be the tax rate. Here, in powder form, it is at 12%, and in a paste form, it is at 18%. So this difference of 6% is going to be a game changer for your client. Had you been recommending a wrong rate of tax, if it is going to be a lower rate of tax, say at 12% is what you have suggested, but actually the tax rate has 18%, the differential of 6% is not going to be paid up by the customers of your client. It ultimately will have to be borne by your client only after this ends up in a show cause notice and the matter is finally decided against the taxpayer. So this we have to keep in mind. This additional 6% again will have the implications of interest as well as penalty. So this is how classification in GST becomes of utmost importance and in fact should be the first step to be adopted by the taxpayers and assisted by their financial consultants to determine what will be the treatment in GST and how the treatment will affect its business. So this is in the case of goods, we had seen certain examples. But in the case of services also, classification again assumes importance. But unlike in the case of goods, we have seen that the tax rate, which has been notified in the case of services, is more or less at 18%, barring a few services which are taxed and treated specially, like GTA, that is Goods Transport Agencies, restaurant services, job work industries. You have before you heading 9963, which discusses about accommodation, food and beverage services. Here you can see that there have been different tax rates notified for food services itself. That is at 12%, you have 5% with the condition that your input tax credit will not be available. So, and as well as 18% in the case of services which are not categorized under serial number 1 to 5 of heading 9963. When you've been asked by your client to know what would be the tax rate applicable to the restaurant services provided by it, and without gaining knowledge about how the restaurant is functioning, is it a standalone restaurant? Is it part of an existing hotel accommodation wherein accommodation services have been provided? And without knowing what is the declared tariff of such hotel accommodation, we will be guiding the clients wrongly as to the tax rate applicable. So here again, classification becomes important in the case of services also, but not as important it is in the case of goods, where there are 6 different tax rates notified. So this is just to give you an introduction of what classification is all about in the GST law. So I will be covering with you what is classification, why is it required, and which section in the Act gives the power to classify goods or services, and how do you go about classifying the various commodities. We know that classification as such is not defined. It is just broad grouping of all the products which is being done. The ultimate goal of doing this exercise of classification is to find out what will be the tax rate applicable to that particular commodity or the service. So not only to find out what would be the tax rate applicable, it also becomes important for us to do this to find out if there is any exemption available in the GST law which will be applicable to that particular goods or service. You cannot put up this argument to say that though the commodity is exempted, but still you have collected and paid the taxes, so there should not be any other implications for the client as such. That would be a wrong argument, because as we know, when an exemption is provided in the GST law, it is mandatory that that exemption is to be followed, and it is not an option given to the taxpayer to adopt either the exemption or treat it as a taxable supply. As given in section 11 of the GST law, we know that this exemptions which are being notified is mandatory in nature. When a particular transaction is exempted and it had been treated as taxable, then this incidence of reversal of input tax credit will come into the picture, where we know that when a taxable supply is exempted, the corresponding input tax credit is not available. So if the particular taxpayer has been paying taxes treating a transaction as taxable instead of taking an exemption, then they will have to pay up the taxes which it has collected. Along with that, it also has to forego the input tax credit which it has utilized to pay the outward liability. So this again is important to not only know what is the tax rate applicable, it also helps us to find out if there is any exemption available in the GST law. as you would have maybe got a chance to go through the Central Goods and Services Tax or the respective State Goods and Services Tax Act, you would have seen that there is no section in the GST law which deals with the issue of classification. There is no explicit provision given in the law which tells that a taxpayer or a registered person has to undertake the exercise of classification and find out what will be the tax rate applicable. There is no such section in the GST law. So how does classification gain importance? How does it gain entry into the GST law? We will look into that now. I'm taking you through section 9, which talks about the charging section, that is the levy and collection section of the Goods and Services Tax law. Section 9 subsection 1 states that subject to the provisions of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called the Central Goods and Services Tax on all intrastate supplies of goods or services or both, except on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption, on the value determined under section 15, and at such rates not exceeding 20% as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the council and collected in such manner as may be prescribed and shall be paid by the taxable person. So this charging section is talking about the levy of GST. Here I have been quoting the Central Goods and Services Tax charging section. Similar sections are available in your respective State Goods and Services Tax law as well as in the IGST Act, that is the Integrated Goods and Services Tax Act. Section 9 says CGST, that is goods, CGST portion of the tax will be levied on all supplies of goods or services of both. So like we have discussed, it is important for us to find out whether a transaction is a supply of goods or a supply of service. In section 2, when we refer the definition of goods and the definition of service, both these sections are very wide in nature. When you look at the definition of goods, it says that every kind of movable property will be considered as goods. When you look at the definition of services, it says everything other than goods will be treated as a service. So first we need to determine whether a transaction is goods. If it is not goods, then it will be treated as a service. In the GST law, there is something called as Schedule 2 to the GST law, which talks about activities or transactions which are deemed to be a supply of goods or supply of service. So this first step of classification, which I am telling you to do, which is to find out whether it is goods or service, this first step has been taken care of in the GST law by way of inserting Schedule 2. This Schedule 2 is doing the work of doing the classification of goods or services for us. There are certain transactions which are deemed to be a supply of goods. For example, transfer of title in goods. These kind of transactions are deemed to be a supply of goods. But when you look at works contract services and restaurant services, these are all deemed to be composite supplies and in turn deemed to be a supply of services. So in the erstwhile indirect tax regime, there was a lot of litigation with respect to these transactions, whether it will be leviable to service tax or whether it will be levied to VAT. Those transactions, those litigations, in fact, have been put to rest by inserting the Schedule 2, where the transactions have been deemed to be a supply of goods or a supply of service. So restaurant services, that is supply of food for human consumption, as well as works contract services have been deemed to be a supply of services itself. So the first step would be to see whether it is goods or services and also simultaneously refer to Schedule 2 and see if your transaction is covered over there. If Schedule 2 the transaction is covered in Schedule 2, then the goods or the services classification has been already under. Further, you also can check whether your transaction is covered under Schedule 3. Schedule 3 talks about certain activities or transactions which are neither a supply of goods nor a supply of service. That is, it is not considered to be a supply itself. As I had told you, the GST law treats supply as the taxable event, and without a taxable event, the definition of a taxable event not meeting, the GST law itself, a levy itself, cannot be sustained. So if your transaction is covered under Schedule 3, then there is no further requirement for you to undertake classification. The exercise stops then and there. There will be no tax to be collected on such kind of transactions. So whether you determine whether it is goods or services, and the value at which you need to pay the tax is to be determined as per Section 15, and the rates is supposed to be as notified by the government on the recommendations of the council, is what Section 9 is telling you. So we know that there is a GST council which has all the powers to recommend changes and other revisions to be made to the government, and the government in turn brings out a notification where all the changes are being notified based on whatever the meetings of the GST council has undertaken. So here the rates also will be notified by the government on the recommendations of the council. So the rates do not form part of the GST law. By way of a delegated legislation, a notification will be brought out by the government, drawing powers from Section 9, and this notification will give you the different tax rates applicable for different goods as well as services. So once a recommendation is made by the council, obviously taking into account whatever representations it has been receiving from the different trade bodies, this constant revision is being made to the GST rates. And these GST rates are being recommended by the council to the government to bring it out by way of a notification. So what are the notifications which have been issued drawing power through Section 9? What are the different rate notifications for supply of goods and supply of services? Let's look at those notifications. This is the CBIC website of the government, that is the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, where all the notifications with respect to the GST law are being notified. This is kept, I'm sure we all have had more than one opportunity to visit this website, given the fact that there have been constant changes in the GST law. When I look at the central tax rate notifications, I can see notification 1/2017, which is the CGST rate schedule notified under Section 9(1). So 9(1) was the charging section which we just went through, which says that the government will bring out a notification on the tax rates to be applicable in the case of goods as well as services. So notification 1/2017 talks about the CGST rate schedule in the case of goods. On top of 1/2017 is notification 2/2017, which talks about the exemptions available in the case of supply of goods. As you can see, the date of both the notifications has been 28 June 2017. That is just a few days before the GST law was implemented in our country. This was actually one of the drawbacks, wherein these rate schedules were not available in public domain much more earlier, and giving enough time for the trade and the industry to align itself with the requirements of the GST law. So when this notification was made available just a few days before the GST law was implemented, it caused a lot of concerns for the people to revise their software, their billing softwares based upon the requirements of the GST law, so that they can begin billing based on the requirements of GST from 1st July 2007. So keeping that aside, when I look at 1/2017, I can see that there have been multiple changes which have been done to this notification. So 1/2017 is my parent notification in the case of the tax rates applicable in the case of supply of goods. When I open this notification, it is talking about the different tax rates prescribed. In exercise of the powers conferred by 9 subsection 1, the Central Goods and Services Tax Act, the central government on the recommendations of the council hereby notifies the rate of the central tax of 2.5%, 6%, 9%, 14%, 1.5% and 0.125%. So this is the 6 different tax rates applicable in the case of supply of goods. So there is a dedicated schedule in this notification, that is number 1/2017, which has a tax rate for each and every schedule. So schedule 1 is talking about 2.5%. So these 6 schedules appended to this notification that shall be levied on intrastate supplies of goods, the description of which is specified in the corresponding entry in column number 3, falling under the tariff item, subheading, heading, or chapter, as the case may be, as specified in the corresponding entry in column number 2. Below the screen of schedule, you can see Schedule 1, 2.5%. It is divided into 3 columns. You have your serial number, the second column, that is chapter, heading, subheading, tariff item, and the third column talking on description of goods. So how do you go about implementing, and what do you mean by the terms of chapter, heading, subheading, tariff item? So this second column in my notification 1/2017 is going to give me the different HSN codes that is given in my column number 2. And the description of the goods is given in column number 3 against each and every HSN code. So how do I interpret what do you mean by chapter, heading, subheading, tariff item? Do I need to refer to the Goods and Services Tax Law and find out where these terms have been defined or not? As I scroll towards the end of the notification, I see that there have been explanations inserted for the purpose of this notification.